Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. So, in order to rebuild trust with voters, step one for the Conservatives is going to have to be to acknowledge at least what the voters thought they messed up and give the impression that lessons have been learned. Now, Kemi Badenoch thinks she's doing this by attacking a series of major policies by her predecessors. But is the way she's doing it putting her party back on the right track, or is she just digging a deeper hole for them? But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So, Kemi Badenoch has been giving a series of speeches, really, in which she's attacked her party for leaving the EU without a growth plan, not reducing immigration, supporting net zero, as well as some ambiguous statements about the economy in general. Her pitch seems to be that the previous Tory leaders were either useless or weak. She thinks that this will convince voters that she sees the problems that they see and that a Conservative government under her leadership would be fundamentally different. And you can sort of see the overriding logic, but there are a few things I think she's not really taken account of. First of all, the wider picture is not a great look for her. I mean, there are two ways of looking at this very simply before we go into the detail. The first is that the Tory legacy was not just bad, it was seen by the public as bad. So they have to address some of their legacy as essentially indefensible. So there is going to have to be, in all honesty, some criticism of past leaders needed. But on the other hand, what I'm seeing here is Kemi Badenoch attacking her own party's leadership in the immediate past, who are no longer mostly in Parliament, but not attacking the leader of Reform UK, who is her major threat right now. So she's attacking the past policies of the Tories without being able to say what the current ones are. But she's not attacking the policies of Reform UK, who are her problem in the here and now. If she's going to lean into attacking her own party and not Reform UK, is she just going to end up doing Nigel Farage's job for him, leaving him with the spare time to get, I don't know, a 10th job, which will be awkward because 10 jobs Nigel does not have the same ring to it as 9 jobs Nigel. But the detail is confused as well. For example, take something as simple as the triple lock, whereby the state pension increases in line with either workers' pay, inflation, or 2.5%, whichever is the greatest. It's not a good policy, economically speaking, but it is a very good one politically. Right now, the Conservatives are in a flap about their commitment to the triple lock. And they're saying that Labour are twisting their words. But here's the reality. So first of all, Mel Stride is Badenoch's shadow chancellor. So he is the one working on the Tories' economic policy. He, a bit before Christmas, described the triple lock as unsustainable. And in fact, people looking at pensions intelligently would rather we pegged it to something like average wage increases, right? But Badenoch is trying to deny that the Tories are threatening the triple lock by saying that it's a Conservative policy and it was supported throughout their 14 years in government. Which isn't true, by the way, because Rishi Sunak broke it as Chancellor. But there's a couple of... So first of all, you look at some precise wording. So the Conservative Party press office put out a statement. You could read it. And it says, you look at it and where does it say that Badenoch is committed to the triple lock? It doesn't, and that's because she's not. So what she's talking about is means testing it. So that by definition means that the triple lock will only apply to some people. She says it's a Conservative policy, which is true. She says the Conservatives supported it throughout their 14 years in government, which is not true. But even if it were, there's no commitment to continue with it. And in fact, she is saying she wants to means test it. That means it's a bit like the winter fuel payments. She's quite happy to say, oh no, everyone should get the winter fuel payment, that it's wrong for it to be means tested, which is what it's being. And yet she thinks it's fine to means test the triple lock. So she's going to get herself into an awful mess over this one as soon as people start poking at it in a big way, which may not happen until the next election, because a lot of people don't really tune in to policies until the next election, which works for a lot of people because, do you know what, they change anyway. Because look at the fuss that has been caused over Labour's mean testing of winter fuel payments. you know, like I say, Badenoch doesn't mind raging against that, despite the fact that she has supported it. She has actually said that this is what should happen. But abandoning the triple lock, even for just some pensioners, will cost them way more, and will cost those pensioners that are more likely to support the Conservatives. You know, so Badenoch is attacking Labour on their fuel policy because it suits her, even though she agrees with it. But she's pursuing a policy of her own, which would actually cause an even bigger backlash amongst a group of voters who are even more important to her party than Labour. Because what is the consequence of it? You're going to end up with different types of state pension. If you means test it, if you say the triple lock's fine for people who are more reliant on the state pension, they don't have much in the way of other income, so they get the triple lock. Is that what she's saying? But the others don't. So you're going to end up with two types of state pension. You can see what happens for the pensioners who have a private pension and so on. She's going to gradually reduce the state pension altogether to the point where whether you even get the state pension will be down to means testing as well. That is the way she's inevitably going to go with it. And this is Badenoch's chief problem. She's trying to get people to think she's going to bring all these benefits with none of the costs, you know, like Tories do. But she hasn't worked out her pattern. Starmer has already repeatedly exposed the fact that she refuses to say what Labour should cut from their spending plans, yet she attacks the taxes and borrowing needed to pay for them. And her own attacks on her own party are similarly dead ends. She says her government made a mistake in leaving the EU without a growth plan. Now, yes, this is absolutely true. But what is her Brexit plan? We don't know that, do we? She says she would have reduced immigration, but she doesn't say why it increased and what she would do differently to reduce it. She attacks net zero. She doesn't say what her alternative plan is. Also, the net zero position is going to be a major problem for her at the next election, assuming she's still leading the party. Or indeed any Conservative leader who tries to take the same line. See, Labour look like they're being quite smart about it in tying lots of jobs to net zero industries over the next few years. So as they try and transition from fossil fuels to cleaner energy, I mean, they're getting some stick from unions, for example, who are concerned about job losses in like the oil industry. What Labour are doing is building in a lot of jobs into their new green energy deal. And they've already been announcing the creation of thousands of jobs in the sector. And there's many more coming this year. Imagine Kemi Badenoch trying to run a campaign in 2029 on the basis of trashing an industry, which at the time will be putting well over 500,000 people out of work overnight. And then think about all the millions of people who will be feeding into the supply chains for that industry. You know, what Badenoch needs to do is build a campaign for 4 years' time, not right now, or three and a half years' time, maybe, if it's a 2028 election. You'd think she's aware of this because, for example, one of the things she keeps saying is she's not going to announce detailed policies yet because it's too early. So, you know, she's showing awareness of the fact that if she's too detailed about a policy right now, it may have to change in the next few years, and then she doesn't want to be accused of U-turning, right? And yet she's taking no account of how the landscape will be changing on some of the red lines that she is already putting in place. You know, it's one thing for her to attack Labour's, like, economic policies. She can attack Labour's economic policies in the hope that the economy doesn't recover in the next few years. Because, you know, you could look at it this way. Let's say Labour's economic plans do bear fruit and the economy grows. The Tories are going to lose the next election anyway. I mean, Labour's not going to lose the next election if the economy's firing on all cylinders. So, you know, she could just hope that the economy does badly. She may genuinely believe that Labour's moves are wrong, or she may just be hoping that Trump sticks the boot in. She's certainly encouraging it. But setting herself up in ideological opposition to net zero when, you know, most voters support it, and even many of her own target voters want action, especially when she knows that Labour are developing hundreds of thousands of jobs integrated into this policy over the next few years. It's the stuff of madness. You know, if she's being cautious about having detailed policies, which may have to change in the next few years, why is she rushing into a policy like this when it's actually likely the Tories are definitely going to have to change this policy, or change the leader who refuses to change the policy. Then there's the way she shoots her mouth off and says the dumbest things. You know, after suggesting that the grooming gang's problem is down to peasants from other countries. Then she seemed to advocate vigilante behaviour in the burning down of abusers' houses. Now, it seems, from what I can gather, that she was actually trying to insult again the country of her parents. But Adam Bienkov of Byline Times tried to bring this up with Badenoch's spokesperson at a press event, and they just made it worse. I mean, quite apart from the support for lawlessness, the fact that people might burn down an innocent person's house just because they suspect they're an abuser or think it's a good excuse, or even burn to death people in the house, as well as endanger the neighbours, because, you know, a lot of people's houses are stuck to the one next door. It's not exactly helping the housing shortage, is it? If right-wing nut jobs are saying, oh yeah, the way to deal with the grooming gangs is burn their houses down. But it was also pointed out that people had actually tried to burn hotels down with the deliberate intention of killing people inside just last summer. Was it really wise for the leader of the opposition to be advocating for the burning down of people's houses because you think one of the occupants might be a wrong 'un? Absolutely no answer to it. And to think Badenoch said last year that she never has to apologise for what she said because, and she said this, oh, it's because I think my statements through. I think them through, you see, so I never have to apologise or U-turn. It's like, well, since saying that, she's said that sandwiches don't exist. She's called anyone who has lunch a wimp. She's falsely and stupidly accused Nigel Farage of using an automatic ticker to replicate his party membership counter which was proven to be wrong really quickly. She's now saying people should burn down other people's houses because they don't like them, or they just want a handy excuse for arson. Like, whenever Kemi Badenoch opens her mouth, what comes out is either a gift to Reform UK or it's a gift to Labour. And that's if either of them can be bothered pointing out every bit of stupidity, because neither party seems to regard the Tories as their most serious threat right now. It's like Badenoch, she understands enough to know that the broad strategy is that she has to change the party, or the party has to be perceived as having a very different plan for government than the last one, but is utterly hopeless at the individual tactics which are needed. She gets that she has to make the Conservative Party different to the one that just lost power, but she's unable to say with any conviction what the new party would do differently, even in broad terms, apart from get rid of the state pension and encourage people to burn your house down. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'll see you later.